Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. To those who are watching online and to those who are here in person, thank you so much. I'm sorry it's a bit chilly. Hopefully we'll get some body heat going and warm this room up just a wee bit. And welcome back to Council. We had a nice break. The last time we met was June the 25th, so we had the month of July off. And we're going to pay for it tonight because the agenda is heavy, but we'll work our way through it. I want to let all of you know that this meeting is being audio, video recorded, and live streamed on the Town of Innisfil's YouTube channel and shall form part of the record, which will be retained in accordance with the Town of Innisfil's retention bylaw. And you can get more information about that bylaw from our clerk's office. And now I'd like to ask Councillor Zanella, please, to open our meeting with the land acknowledgement.
Thank you. The Town of Innisfil acknowledges that the Town of Innisfil is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history. The town also acknowledges that this land is the traditional territories of the First Peoples of Turtle Island and is shared between the Anishinaabe peoples of Bosaleya Nation, Chippewas of Rama First Nation, and Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation, and we thank them for their generations of stewardship. This meeting place is also still the home to many Indigenous people, and as settlers, we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. The town acknowledges the forced sacrifices that are the foundation of Canadian society today, and we are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit.
Thank you, Councillor Zanella. We'll now move on to item 2, which is our open forum. We have 3 people signed up for the open forum this evening. And please, if you could keep your comments to 2 minutes, that would be very much appreciated. So first, I would like to ask Megan Varga to come forward regarding item C7.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, staff. I wanted to talk about the Big Bay Point intersection. So I just wanted to say thank you for moving this forward, for doing something about it, and I really hope you agree to the fund reallocation tonight. So again, I just wanted to say thank you very much. I know how hard everyone worked on it.
Thank you so much, Ms. Varga, for those comments. Next, we'll go to an electronic participant, Brent Hughes. Brent, whenever you're ready.
Hi there. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Thank you. It's not cold where I am. I'm out playing pickleball in Georgian Bay. So I'm talking specifically, and I wish I could be there, but my name is Brent Hughes. I run an organization that takes over pickleball centers. So I'm talking specifically about Friday Harbour. I'm actually a resident of Friday Harbour. And I just wanted to share that I've been actively involved with both the RA as well as the developer on the design of the proposed site. It's a fantastic design, and I think it's, I've seen a lot of pickleball facilities across Canada. It is going to be one of the elite designs. The fact that not only did they adapt the design to ensure that it will meet national tournament level. It's laid out well. The number of courts are done well. I think both the RA as well as the developer have put a lot of good thought into this. They've taken some good feedback, I think. They've brought us a great proposal. And I think it's desperately needed in the area, as well as specifically at Friday Harbour, to make it an all-season resort. So my expertise is both the design and operation of the facilities. My wife runs the largest pickleball academy in Canada, so we know the industry well. We've been heard, and I'm very impressed with everything I've seen and heard so far. So I hope that it gets approved and moves through.
Thank you very much for your comments. Next on the list is George Texera, and that's regarding item C10. Please correct me if I said your name wrong.
Perfect every day. My name is George Tixera. I thank you all for letting me speak. I'm an owner of Friday Harbour. I've been there since 2017. I have 2 condos there and one coming up in November, Sun Seeker, that's going to be available November 1st. My main concern is mostly with the builder. I live full-time at the Aquarius, which is one of the main buildings, been there first. And we haven't had a pool for 5 years now, and it's drastically reduced our investment. Our condo is 80% investors. It's also I own on High Point. It's 85% investors, and all the investors are renting their units. So basically, those 2 condos, buildings, Aquarius and High Point, they're basically hotels. So with 80% being rented as a hotel on one location and 85% on another, it's be a competition head-to-head with a new building coming up with the hotel being presented for approval. We have major deficiencies. We have quite a lot of leaks in the building. We tried to approach the builder, which is the same builder that's going to build the hotel and all the future developments, and we just can't get anywhere. So they delay for 2 years and then carry on. The insurance takes over, and it takes another year or 2. So we have both pools on both buildings, Aquarius for 5 years now, and now High Point, the hot tub and the pool, the same thing. They're all major leaking into the garages, and we have major issues. So our investments have gone down $300,000 for each unit, and some of them way more than that. And we want to make sure that the developer, which we think is the same as the builder.
Mr. Teixeira, you have to wrap up. You've had your 2 minutes.
Okay.
If you could just wrap up quickly.
Just wrap up. So what we like to do is not to approve any new future developments with the developer and the builder until they fix the current problems we have. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. So this might be a good time to talk about the procedural bylaw and decorum in the House. So I'm the bad guy that has to sit up here and make sure the rules are followed. And one of those is no clapping, no booing, no, if I could just ask for that respect. And I would also ask if anybody has a cell phone, if you could put it on silent or vibrate so it doesn't interrupt the proceedings. And thank you so much for sticking to the time limits, because I absolutely hate cutting people off. And the final person on open forum this evening is Wayne Levine. Wayne? Did I say the name wrong? It was regarding Friday Harbour, and the first name is Wayne. The second name is Levine. Nope, maybe they decided not to speak. All right, so that's the end of open forum. So now we'll go to item 3, which is the approval of the agenda. We have had some delegations sign up, so those have been added to tonight's agenda. And a mover and a seconder, please, to approve the agenda as is on the screen. Councillor Richardson, Councillor Drodge, all those in favor? That is carried. Next, I'm going to ask if there's any disclosures of interest on any items in tonight's agenda. Councillor Ices.
Thank you, Worship. I have a comment on item C11. The property that the MZO is being applied to the province for is a property that my farm business farms. We are the tenant there. I talked with the Integrity Commissioner about the possibility of a conflict, and in this case, he suggested there wasn't because there's no decisions being made by council. So I will still be involved in that discussion if it does come forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Constantine.
I am declaring a conflict of interest because as I own property in Friday Harbour.
So that would be on item C10, I believe. Thank you. Any other pecuniary or conflicts? Seeing none, we'll move forward on to item 5, presentations and petitions. We have none of those this evening. Item 6 is delegations, and we'll start with Neem and Nikki from Town of Innisfil, who are going to do a presentation on the facility's greenhouse gas reduction feasibility study. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Dolan, Deputy Mayor Fowler, members of council and staff. For those who do not know me, I am Nikki Belaz. I am the operations manager for facilities. Here with me today is Dylan Demers, facility specialist. In October 2024, council adopted the Integrated Sustainability Master Plan, otherwise known as the ISMP, which provided specific targets for staff to begin measuring the success of our decarbonization strategies. In February of this year, council proceeded to approved the fleet of greening mitigation strategies that would significantly contribute to our overall ISMP reduction targets. In line with the ISMP, and similarly to the fleet feasibility study, the facilities team has engaged sustainability project groups, or otherwise known as SPG, to complete a GHG reduction pathway feasibility study. Here to present the results from the study is Reem Nasrat, Team Lead, Energy Consulting, and Pia Poblete, Energy Analyst, Energy Consulting. I will pass the mic over to them.
Thank you so much, Council, for having us today, and thank you for the warm welcome, Nikki. So to start, I'm going to walk you through our agenda for today. So this project was funded through the Green Municipal Fund, and through that, they had a very specific scope that we had to follow. So I'll begin by walking you through our project goals, and then I will talk about the portfolio of buildings that we studied and their current performance, and then Pia will walk you through the workshops that we did with Nikki's team to understand how we'll get the town to their initiative of getting to net zero. Sorry. Oh, got it. So to start, we cataloged all of the big assets in the portfolio and looked at their performance. We then looked at developing retrofit plans for these assets. So basically what that means is we would replace them as the end of their life cycle to the upgrades for the first pathway. And then the second pathway is that we would build a plan to reduce GHG emissions by 50% in 20 years and then 80% in the following 10 years after that. So in order to achieve those pathways, we looked at the estimated costs and prepared capital plans for that, and then worked with Nikki's team again to look at budgets that the town had to fit these plans. So before we get into the project, I wanted to give a quick overview on how we calculate emissions in buildings. So we look at two scopes. The first scope is direct emissions from the building, so that's burning fossil fuels. And the next scope is the emissions that you get from the grid using electricity. And that's not in the town's control, but it's important to be able to study that so that we can look at our emissions in the future. So how we look at that is that the province has published a forecast for what the emissions are from the grid, and that's based on different initiatives and projects that they plan to have to reduce emissions factors. And using that information, we now look at 3 different strategies to reduce carbon emissions. The first one is reducing the energy that we use, and that is introducing better technologies that use more efficient assets. The next one is fuel switching. So we'll integrate our natural gas equipment into electricity. And since the grid will be very clean in the future, we know that using these types of technologies will also be beneficial. And then lastly, switching to renewable energies like solar. So for this table, it shows you the 6 buildings within the portfolio. And within the study, we looked at the utility bills for 12 months and took that information to build a GHG portfolio for each of the buildings. And then we calculated a baseline. How we did that was look at the energy use for the buildings and then divide that by the space of the buildings, and using Energy Star benchmarks, which are specific benchmarks for types of building. We compared them to how the buildings are currently performing, and as you can see, 4 out of the 6 buildings are performing better than the benchmarks currently prior to the study. So next, Pia is going to walk you through the different workshops that we did with the town to understand how to get to net zero.
Perfect. Thanks, Reem. Hello, Council. So the first workshop under the FCM program is the design workshop. In this session, SPG presented a list of energy conservation measures known as ECMs for each site. And then together working with the town, we reviewed that list, refined it based on feasibility. We offered alternative measures as well as clarified pathway strategies. So here you'll see some examples of that list based on the design workshop. You'll notice that there are some measures that appear across multiple sites, that being the lighting fixture upgrade, low flow water fixtures, air curtains, and so on. This is due to their operational benefits as well as their energy savings. You'll also notice that there is an asterisk across some of those measures. This just means that there are 2 measures in the same location that are mutually exclusive, meaning they can't operate at the same time. And in those cases, the team went with the more favorable abatement costs, and that just ensures that there are greater GHG reduction per dollar invested. And here we have the GHG reduction pathways that were confirmed. The first pathway talks about the upgrades to systems after their measured life. And then the pathway 2 is what Reem was talking about, that 50% reduction in 10 years, as well as that 80% reduction in 20 years. The second and final workshop was the decision-making workshop. And in this session, we again refined that list based on the design workshop discussion. And then we spoke on the capital planning investments to ensure the feasibility, to ensure budget control, as well as meeting those sustainability objectives. So you might be curious on how we selected these measures. So our process, again, followed adding and removing measures that were just deemed infeasible for implementation. And then we placed high importance on electrification measures. So that would be replacing natural gas measures like boilers, water heaters or unit heaters with their electric alternatives. And this is due to Ontario's very clean electricity grid. You'll see on the chart that it's 0.02 by 2045, which is virtually close to 0. We also took into account implementation timing as a key consideration. And as what Reem had mentioned, that is for pathway 1 is the 2022 BCA recommendations based on their implementation and timing of the end of performance, as well as their pathway 2 is based on the GHG reduction targets. And then here you'll have the pathway comparison. So for pathway 1, we developed roughly, I believe it's 36 measures proposed. And then for pathway 2, it is 64 proposed. We also developed several key metrics, and some were the electricity savings, the gas savings, the GHG emission reduction, the total year 0 cost, that being the initial cost of the project, the abatement cost, which is the cost per dollar saved for implementing these measures, and then the net present value. It's important to note that the upfront implementation costs do exceed and represent a meaningful step towards sustainability goals. So although financial savings isn't expected, that environmental savings is reached based on these pathways. And then here you'll have the GHG emissions as well as the capital investment timelines for Pathway 1. This is based on the BCA recommended timeline. You'll notice there are about 2 peaks, one being 2025 and the other being 2037. So some examples of these spikes include lighting upgrades at the Salt Dome, adding roof insulation at the Innisfil Stroud Community Center, and then in 2037, we suggested heat pump RTUs at the Operations Center. So this pathway achieves the Integrated Sustainability Master Plan, the ISMP targets for 2040 and 2050, combined with the fleet emission targets. And then we have a similar graphs for Pathway 2, that being the GHG emissions and the capital planning investments. You'll notice the evident peak held in 2033, and that is mainly for the high efficiency MUA at the Operations Center. And that is paired with also solar carport measures and several other measures you can find in the report. So that brings us to the end of our presentation. If the council has any further questions, we'd be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Questions from members of council? Councillor Waters.
I want to say thanks very much for a very thorough report. Nice to see numbers beside both pathways, and finances are always an issue in terms of how sustainable we are that way. So I want to thanks for you giving us the 2 pathways, and we'll see how council votes on how we go forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? This is, now would be the time, we're going to be dealing with this item on C1, but if you had specific questions, now would be the time to bring that forward. The Green Municipal Fund is part of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, so we were very fortunate to receive that funding to get this work done. And I just wanted to comment, I didn't see the slide well enough, but when you talked about the 2 that already met the benchmark, can you remind me which 2 facilities those were?
Yeah. So I believe the town hall and the recreation center, the top 2.
Great. And just to comment that the Stroud Innisfil Community Center and the Morgan Russell Memorial Arena are both built in the 70s. So when you reflect forward about work that's going to be done on those buildings, that's assuming that, that we haven't made other decisions on those buildings at that time? Nikki's nodding, so the answer to that is yes. Okay. Councillor Waters.
I was just going to mention that same thing, because we've always had a conversation around Stroud being whether or not we should tear it down and rebuild, or continue to plow retrofit dollars into it and never see a return. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Thank you. Final chance for questions. Seeing none, thank you so much for the presentation. It's very much appreciated. And if you want to stick around to see how council votes on item C1, you're welcome to do so. If not, have a great evening. Thank you. And with that, I'd ask for a mover and a seconder, please, for the recommendation to receive the delegation. Moved by Deputy Mayor Fowler and seconded by Councillor Constantine. All those in favor? That is carried. Our next delegation is from Ann Hunt. Whenever you're ready. And it's regarding the Friday Harbour agenda item C10.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor, councillors and staff. I'm Ann Hunt. I've been here before as the Big Bay Point Association homeowner representative. Just over a year ago, I appeared before you to share concerns from our community that the resort's rapid growth was not being matched with the infrastructure and amenities needed to support it. Since then, we have committed to doing the work to clearly identify and communicate the needs of homeowners and broader community to both council and the developers. Over the past year, our resort association has engaged deeply with residents through surveys, focus groups, and one-on-one conversations to capture a true picture of what is important to the people who live and invest at Friday Harbour. In parallel, the developer has shown a willingness to work in generous partnership. They have held multiple roundtables and Q&A sessions with our homeowner group, listening to feedback, answering questions, and working collaboratively to align priorities. Focus group roundtables help to zone in on these key priorities. A revenue-generating racket facility providing both recreation and a sustainable source of income for the resort. An indoor pool extending access to aquatic recreation year-round. A forest school adding educational and nature-based opportunities for children and families in Friday Harbour and the community beyond. A Nordic spa creating a distinctive wellness destination that benefits residents and draws visitors. Expanded outdoor amenities, including CrossFit stations and additional open spaces that encourages active living. Looking ahead, the addition of a hotel and conference center will bring tremendous opportunity for the town, expanding tourism, driving year-round economic activity, and firmly establishing Friday Harbour as a true lifestyle destination. Furthermore, the development of additional condominiums will help the Resort Association reach critical mass, enabling it to be self-sufficient and proactive in addressing the evolving needs of homeowners well into the future. This is a clear example of how collaboration between residents, the developer, and the town can produce meaningful, tangible results. On behalf of many residents, I want to thank Cheryl Shindrick and the developer group for their collaborative approach in working with our homeowner group and for developing the priorities identified by the community. I also wish to thank the mayor and the councillors for your due diligence, support, and commitment to ensuring that the resort continues to grow in a balanced and sustainable way. Together, we've proven that dialogue can lead to real progress, and let's keep building that momentum together. That's it. That concludes my remarks. If you'll allow me, I do have a letter from someone who was unable to attend tonight. Anna D'Alessandro, who I think you're all very familiar with, asked me to read a statement on her behalf. Good evening, Mayor Dolan, Deputy Mayor Fowler, members of council. I'm unable to attend the council this evening, but I wanted to express my full support for the Friday Harbour applications on the council agenda as set out in staff report DSR 116-25. I have been a homeowner at Friday Harbour since July of 2018. You may recall that I have a background in urban planning, AVD, and planning, developing, consulting, and therefore view Friday Harbour through that lens as well as from the perspective of being a homeowner. At various times, I've spoken out with concerns, and at other times, like now, expressed my support for the direction of the resort. The hotel and conference center are very important components of the resort. We have all been waiting for this, and we can now see it coming to reality. Although the building envelope proposed for the hotel is not what was originally planned, I fully understand the necessity of the proposed new plan. In addition, in concert with the construction of the hotel, the developer has committed to building the Racket Academy with an indoor pool and indoor pickleball courts. Since 2023, I have been part of a Friday Harbour working group that engaged with the developer on these applications. We advocated strenuously for the indoor facilities, which we believe are so important to facilitating our season enjoyment and utilization of the resort. We support and encourage the delivery of the hotel and conference center. We expressed our opinions. We didn't always agree, but through respect and transparency, we found common ground and came to an agreement with the developer. You will have received from this working group a signed agreement between ourselves and the developer, which outlines the commitments made. I want to acknowledge the goodwill of the developer, and I specifically want to recognize the integrity and professionalism of Cheryl Shindrick and her team, who've been responsive and considerate to the concerns from our working group and the aspirations of the Friday Harbour community. I believe that the development proposal in the applications before you this evening is furthering the vision for a vibrant four-season resort and will bring many benefits for the town of Innisfil, the county of Simcoe, and the province of Ontario. It will also benefit the Resort Association by providing us with a revenue-generating racket academy. For all these reasons, I encourage Council to support the applications so that Friday Harbour can finally realize the hotel and conference centre and indoor facilities as proposed. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Ms. Hunt, if you could just stay with us for a minute in case there's questions or comments. Thank you.
Of course.
Questions or comments from Ms. Hunt? Councillor Waters.
In your agreement, thanks very much for your presentation, by the way. In your agreement with Friday Harbour, are there any commitments or guarantees that these facilities will be built prior to, let's say, more condos and that kind of stuff? So what guarantee do you have that they're actually going to follow through on this? Because we've been waiting 10 years for a hotel.
That is an excellent question. Thank you for asking. In our discussion with the developer, we came to an agreement, and we have an in-writing commitment from the developer group to either simultaneously build the Racket Academy in the hotel and/or condominiums in concert. So they have agreed not to initiate the hotel or any more condominiums until they initiate the Racket Academy. And we have that in writing. And I have faith in their ability to deliver that.
Any other questions or comments for Ms. Hunt? Seeing none, thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
A mover and a seconder, please, to receive the presentation. Moved by Councillor Icey, seconded by Councillor Richardson. All those in favor? That is carried. Next delegation. If you could move, oh, Karen Brown, sorry. I was looking at it and didn't read it. Ms. Brown, whenever you're ready.
Thank you very much. Mayor Dolan, members of council, and staff, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. When I bought into Friday Harbour, like many here, I bought into a promise, a thriving four-season resort with a beautifully maintained forest, vibrant amenities, and a community that would grow stronger as it grew larger. That promise is slipping away. To be clear, amenities are needed by the Resort Association, which will be turned over to homeowners. The revenue from those amenities augments the 2% buy-in fee, 3 separate condo and resort fees, plus the resort fees that visitors pay. This revenue is then used to support Friday Harbour's maintenance, repairs, marketing, and so on. When will the RA be turned over to homeowners? When substantial build-out is achieved, with every application that is further and further away. Currently, the RA homeowners have one member elected by the homeowners, Ann Hunt, who just spoke to you, who sits on the board, so it's fair to say that homeowners have no significant control. On the developer side, building and selling residential units is revenue for them. The more they can build, the more revenue they bank. Homeowners were promised a lake club that was 2 stories that had both an indoor and an outdoor pool. What homeowners got was 1 story and an outdoor pool, and it's the only promised amenity that has materialized. Homeowners were promised an amphitheater, a space for music, theater, school programs, and events that would generate revenue for the Resort Association. Instead, we got the CIBC Pier, which generates revenue for the developer and is nowhere close to the definition of an amphitheater. The actual amphitheater has vanished from the plans. Homeowners were promised a parking garage. Gone. Homeowners have been promised a hotel and conference center for many years, future revenue for homeowners. While it has yet to materialize, this application asks for 15 stories plus a mezzanine. Setting aside for a moment that the current maximum height for Friday Harbour is 6 stories, Why do developers need 15, given that they've cut the number of hotel rooms in half? The answer is because they envision more residential units right next to the hotel. And in fact, they told council as much during a previous application. A smaller hotel footprint gives them room to squeeze in that extra building that would otherwise not have been possible. Revenue for the developers. The biggest loss came when the previous council removed the phasing agreement. This agreement required amenities to be built alongside residential units in an orderly fashion. Without it, developers can pretty much build whatever they want, wherever they want, and whenever they want. More condos and revenue for them. While there have been lots of promises, no amenities, and therefore future revenues for homeowners has materialized. The 2002 application that removed phasing was tied to the promise of a retirement facility called Seasons, which would have produced revenue for the RA. 2 years later, where is it? The goal of that application was clearly only to remove the phasing. The staff report says more residential units are needed to help retailers, but if the 2,600 existing units can't keep shops alive, why would 700 more make a significant difference? Many residents are retired or middle class, paying mortgages and multiple Friday Harbour fees. They have kitchens. They don't eat out every night. Weekends in summer are busy, but weekdays and winter, spring, and fall, you could shoot a cannon down the boardwalk and not hit a soul. In fact, I was there this morning, and my cannonball would have hit no one. Pools are broken. I have 4 years here. George said it's been 5 years, so we'll go with George because he lives there now. The forest is sorely neglected. The Resort Association, run by developer appointees plus one homeowner rep, is running a deficit of $1.3 million. It's 3 years behind in payments to the town, and the reserve fund is inadequate. I have no idea how the town allows this to happen, but from this taxpayer to the town, I'd ask that this be sorted out because I don't see how an RA running a deficit can pay the IOU, much less move forward in the black. Special levies are likely coming to homeowners on top of ever-rising fees. Property values are also dropping fast. There are 99 properties for sale at Friday Harbour as of today on House Sigma, not counting the ones Friday Harbour themselves are trying to sell, plus assignment sales from the new development Sunseeker, which will see units closing at a substantially lower value per square foot than owners actually purchased them for in 2021. My 2-bedroom sold for $715,000 in 2023. In July this year, the average 2-bedroom selling price was $468,000. That's a huge loss in just 2 years. You could say that property values are down everywhere, particularly condos, and that would be true. However, with tourism boards reporting increased tourism this summer, why are some of those dollars not flowing into Friday Harbour, filling up short-term rentals, populating the boardwalk, and encouraging homeowners to stay? The bottom line, Friday Harbour is building a residential community, not a resort. When the developers finish and walk away, the inadequate amenities, aging infrastructure, and service needs will remain, and Innisfil taxpayers will foot the bill for maintaining this settlement area. Right now, the town enjoys the tax revenue, but without action, we will all pay later through higher taxes or reduced services, as the budget will need to accommodate both servicing and repairing the massive infrastructure at Friday Harbour. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the 4 hectares that are currently in an environmentally protected zone. While I note that the land on the other side of the street, something of a parking lot and construction areas, is slated for more condos, revenue for the developers, Friday Harbour has shown us repeatedly with every application that plans can be changed. There is no reason why the Racket Club can't be moved and preserve the protected land. In closing, I'm asking you, in the interest of homeowners and taxpayers, restore an agreement that protects the creation of amenities. Ensure that the promised facilities are delivered. Adhere to Innisfil's master plan. Stop trading long-term community health for short-term development gains. We still have a chance to make Friday Harbour what it was meant to be, but time is running out. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Sorry, no clapping. I apologize. Council, questions or comments, please? Councillor Saunders.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. That's a lot of information that you've given a lot of residents that I probably didn't know, and especially some of the taxpayers of the town of Innisfil. So thank you very much for that presentation.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you very much. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please, to receive the presentation? Moved by Councillor Waters, seconded by Councillor Zanella. All those in favor? That is carried. And next, we have a delegation from Jackie Mintz, also regarding Friday Harbour.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. Thank you for having me and allowing me to speak here this evening. I am also a resident of Friday Harbour with many concerns. I am not opposed to growth by any means. My concern is the lack of transparency, planning, proper building, safeguards surrounding Friday Harbour's expansion. This is not about stopping growth. It's about ensuring it's sustainable, it's safe, and financially responsible. I broke my concerns down to a number of things. First, the lack of financial transparency. Many homeowners remain totally unaware of their financial exposure to Friday Harbour's liabilities tied to expansion. Friday Harbour Resorts Holding Inc. should explain this clearly at AGMs. Owners belong to 2 condominium boards, each with the power to levy special assessments, doubling their liability exposure. Special legislation from 2010 allows Friday Harbour Resorts Holdings Inc. apply special assessment to all homeowners. They became not a resort association, but a corporation. If management is confident in their plans, why not seek legislation preventing special assessments to protect owners' liability where they have no or little say in future growth? Expansion should not only proceed after independent verification of financial stability, owners should not be their financial safety net. Ineffective AGM meetings. Pre-submitted questions often go unanswered, if answered at all, in a very time. They're promised days. I got mine 4 weeks late, and that was with constant weekly reminders. The questions were answered, but vaguely, merely lip service. Board presentations dominate the evening, leaving very little time for question and answers. I personally have seen residents physically removed from the meeting because they ask questions that do not want to be answered. That is unacceptable. The emergency preparedness and safety plans, they do not exist. Most municipalities, such as yourself, require a comprehensive emergency preparedness plan, including risk assessment, evacuation routes, assembly points, communication protocols, and regularly reviewed and updated plans. Friday Harbour Resort Inc. currently has no emergency plan made available for me to see. Recent concerns that have bothered me: during fire alarms, I would go downstairs at 2 o'clock or whatever time of the morning it was, and at one time I witnessed a security guard telling the fire department he didn't know where the keys were so that they could unlock the cabinet. They must be in the property management. Training is horrendous. Fire alarms are awfully ignored by residents. I myself do not go downstairs anymore because they are so frequent. Short-term guests, young adults, because we do not have proper security in the buildings and we are a resort, run a rampant and pull alarms. One of our residents in my building sat in her unit while 4 men tried to get into her unit because our buildings all look the same in the flats. No, and this woman was in her condo with a golf club telling them, you're in the wrong place. And they're going, no, this is our unit, get out. So she sat there for 3 hours with a golf club, very uncomfortable that people could get in, 4 men could get into her unit. Recently, a resident discharged a pellet rifle from a balcony on the islands. There was no warning, no explanation of what was going on. We just saw the SWAT teams move in. There was no announcements. If I was sitting at the pool with my grandchildren that I was given custody of for my daughter, I would like the option to take them home to my condo if I knew there was a madman running around. That is protocols that should be addressed. 4 buildings, the ones that I'm in, all share the same key fob to get into the buildings, front door and underground. The buildings all look the same. The security is horrendous. Anybody can walk our halls. The underground parking, which goes back to the emergency preparedness awareness plan, Our underground parking encompasses 4 buildings. I can't tell you the number, roughly 320 units, double cars for some units. There's 2 exit points. If there was a mass evacuation, what is the instructions? Where is the protocols? What do we do? It's non-existent. The traffic and infrastructure concerns. The traffic impact studies cites by R.J. Burnside in this report was the peer reviewer. Has council reviewed this? Have they got comments that they can share with us? On busy weekends, I face the eastern parking lot. Traffic is horrendous when we have special events. Only 2 roads exit out of Big Friday Drive and Sunreef. Do you know what traffic is like when we have fireworks? Do you know what I see, the yelling, the honking? There's no emergency readiness plan for Friday Harbour. The public feedback and board culture, that is another thing. The support cited in this report on page, I think it's 5 of, it's upside down, here it is. 5 of 21, refer to the page, 5 of 21. There's 20-odd concerns from the public comments made at the June 19th meeting. Were any of these ever answered? But no, our board all supports them. Boards that, my particular board, I can't ask questions because I'm lambasted on social media as being a leader, an instigator, deluded, need a vacation, need a job, because I ask questions. That board culture is wrong. Okay, residents deserve to see the raw survey and feedback data. Ann Hunt was gracious enough to tell us all about this great review data, this great questionnaires, these roundtables. I have not, and neither has the woman sitting beside me who holds a penthouse, heard of such meetings, such input requests, nothing. It's a select group that creates a great picture. Condominium market conditions. Barrie condo sales remain sluggish. Only 33 were sold in May, down 34% from last year. Many GTA builders have paused new construction until the market recovers. Toronto's second quarter in 2025, new condo sales dropped 77% in 1 year, the lowest year since 1990s. Given these market conditions, what are the realistic sales projections for Friday Harbour's proposed expansion? Could it become an investor-heavy, like Sunseeker, absentee landlords like Sunseeker, like many of the other buildings that have horrendous amount of Airbnbs that are unsupervised, that undermines Friday Harbour's community life? You know, there's a saying that, you know, we need council to do something. Friday Harbour success affects not only the residents, but also Innisfil's reputation to grow. I'm requesting council, before painting over this application and approving it, full financial review of Friday Harbour's. I would love to see a balance sheet. We get capsules. We lost 1.2 point whatever million last year. What is the Friday Harbour lost year to date? What are the financial, what are our obligations? What have they put us on the hook for? What can they write a special assessment to cover? And we require you to have a full emergency readiness plan. Friday Harbour is a resort. It's a complex structure. You have individual boards underneath it. You need to make Friday Harbour have better communication with these individual boards. You need them to have them validated, qualified, that qualified people are on these boards. You need to eliminate acclamations for board positions, because some people become bullies and nobody wants to work with them, so they get in because they're bullies. Implement a formal process to vet and qualify candidates. You have an amazing thing here at Friday Harbour. You need to give it the attention so that it is amazing and maintains amazing and can maintain the lifestyle that we all bought into. Many of us are mortgage-free because we have taken we are boomers. We've taken our investments, we've bought our house, our condos. We don't have mortgages, nor do we want to have to put mortgages on it for a special assessment, because the condo board, Friday Harbour Resort, are writing checks that we will have to pay for. You need to recognize Friday Harbor's importance to Innisfil's growth plan. Council and the mayor should attend the AGMs virtually, anonymously at best, so you could see the information provided and the treatment of homeowners asking valid questions. I was witness to George being physically removed. Promote a culture of transparency, safety, sustainability, so Friday Harbour thrives as both a resort and a livable community. Friday Harbor's success effects, as I said, and as the saying is, knowledge is power. When we know better, we do better. Now it's time to do better for Friday Harbour and for Innisfil.
Thank you, Ms. Mintz. Questions or comments? Councillor Waters.
Thank you very much for your passionate presentation. I have a question concerning the emergency preparedness.
Yeah.
In terms of our fire chief, do we demand that Friday Harbour have something like that available? Do they, or is this something that we can do? Thank you.
Chief Thomas.
Excuse me, through you, Mayor, to Councillor. Yes, we have worked with Friday Harbour. We did have a little bit ago some difficulty getting some of the staff who are doing security with new management companies that didn't know their responsibilities. So we worked with Friday Harbour right away when that was brought to our attention with Friday Harbour, that they had responsibilities as security companies, despite the fact that there are different management groups that own each of the different buildings. And so we were given the assurance, and with that is their approved fire safety plan and exit plans, which is the responsibility of the condo boards to do the training with people. So if we can follow up for sure to make sure that that training is happening, because they just have to report to us that it's done. But with this issue being brought up, we can follow up with that one piece. But they do have plans that are approved and should be following.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Councillor Drodge.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to follow up on procedural. So in special occasions, is there a plan in place for that, fire related?
Through you, Mayor, to Councillor Drodge, can you be a little bit more specific?
So for an example of the July long weekend, I just happened to go to Friday Harbour to watch the fireworks, and it took me over an hour and 45 minutes to get from the main drive from my car, to get out to 25th and Big Bay Point. And it was like that both directions. So, God forbid if there was a fire at that point, there's no way you'd be able to get in. So I was just curious, is there extra caution taking place when there's events like that?
Sure, thanks for the clarification. So through you, Mayor Dolan, there is consideration for that, but just like any event, not just in Innisfil, if you go to a major event anywhere in the GTA, you are at the mercy of the traffic getting out of that area. There are designated fire routes that are to be clear, and so in the event of emergency, we are able to get through. Sometimes we're slightly delayed, but that is a requirement to have those fire routes, which we do have posted, to be able to get in when there is an emergency, so we can move people to mitigate the emergency.
Just a quick follow-up. Is there anything in place to limit the amount of people that could go to that event? Like as you go to like a concert or something, there's X amount of people out in there. Is that kind of bylaw or legislation in place for that?
Sure, through you, Mayor Dolan, to Councillor Drudge, yes, any building or assembly location, including this building and this room, has to have a posted limit on what you can have for, depending on the type of room. So if it's a concert venue, how many people can be in that room. If it's assembly occupancy that's serving food, how many tables and chairs, et cetera. So there is a posted limit. And things like, maybe this question might be coming, so I'll maybe just give this input now, that things like the new pier and event center on the pier, there is a cap on how many people can be on that based on what fire code and what building code are permitted for the type of construction and the number of people and the exit routes that are available.
And thanks. Just one final comment. I'm glad that's in place. I did not see that when I was there on the July long weekend. I didn't see any representative from Friday Harbour counting people coming in or out. So just my comment. I think Friday Harbour needs to do a little bit better in that aspect.
And as living there for almost coming up on 2 years, I have never, via their emails or their letters or their newsletters going to homeowners, restrictions. There has never been any cars turned away or any people turned away from activities, be it the fire lighting, the fireworks. They welcome everybody and anybody casually without consequences.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor Waters.
Question to our CAO. There seems to be a litany of issues with Friday Harbour around its financial sustainability. Does the town, in terms of, have any levers that we can use to ensure that some of these concerns are addressed, or because, like I says, I understand that these residents can be left with a huge bill down the road, and if they can't pay it, and Friday Harbour's not going to pay it, that means it's going to be up to us at some point in time. So, any levers where we can press to ensure better operations?
Mr. Gershaw.
So Ms. Mintz touched on a number of issues in her remarks. I think I can say as a former condo owner, and in terms of my awareness in general, a lot of those are outside of the town's jurisdiction. A lot of the legal framework for condominiums is set by the province, not by the town. So I think there's a limit on the town's ability to address some of the issues, in particular the internal financial management of Friday Harbour.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Mintz?
You have something coming up on the agenda for the Ontario Municipalities Association, where you're looking at an infrastructure where you as town councillors come into developments to discuss issues and problems and come to a table where mediation can happen, where there's no compromises but a collaboration, because you want to reinstate confidence in the voters, the people that live at Friday Harbour, in council management. I suggest you come to Friday Harbour and get the real picture. I suggest you ask Friday Harbour developers to allow an authentic group of homeowners, not hand-selected, but an authentic group of homeowners to give you feedback.
Thank you for that, Ms. Mintz. Governance 101, we can't walk into a company that operates in Innisfil and walk into their boardroom and tell them how to run their company. We can't do that. We have tools that we can use, and we will use those. But, we can't tell...
Can you be invited?
We can't tell a board, how to pick their board of directors. No. And that's beyond our scope, but I don't want to start an argument. I just want to say, we're limited with what we can do as a municipal government. We're very much told what we can do by the province, and we do have some ability through bylaws, through zoning, through meetings like tonight. But some of the suggestions are outside of what we would be able to do as far as governance is concerned. But we appreciate hearing your frustration. And appreciate you coming here tonight.
I appreciate the collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So is that it, or do we have one more? One more delegation? Oh, we need a mover and a seconder, please, for Ms. Mintz's delegation. Councillor Zanella and Councillor Waters, all those in favor? That is carried. And our last delegation is Cheryl Schindrick from Friday Harbour.
Good evening, Mayor Dolan, Deputy Mayor Fowler, members of council, and ladies and gentlemen. I'm here this evening to speak in support of Staff Report DSR 11625 concerning Friday Harbour and the recommendations set out in that report. This is item C10 on your agenda. I'm joined today by Michael Hart, who's up here with me, who's been very involved in managing the project for the last couple of years, and also accompanied by our team members who have been involved in these applications from the beginning and available to respond to questions should that be necessary. The report before you this evening deals with our planning applications to do three main things. Allow the long-awaited hotel and conference center, designed to address the requirements of our hotel partner, Hilton Curio. Allow building heights on the east side of the marina that are complementary to the hotel, respect the architectural and urban design guidelines for Friday Harbour, and have regard for the public realm. And finally, to allow for additional resort amenities, including a four-season racket academy, forest school, canopy walk, and Nordic spa. I want to address comments about changes being made to the Friday Harbour plan. We need to remember that the secondary plan for Friday Harbour and the policies and land use designations it contains are almost 25 years old. The planning process in Ontario, more specifically the Ontario Planning Act, recognizes that plans are prepared at a particular point in time based on the best information available at that time. Therefore, the Act allows for amendments to plans where there is new information, new best practices, or new aspirations, and in fact mandates a review of these plans and policies periodically through a public process like this. I would say that Friday Harbour has helped to shift market preferences from low-density cottages on large lots to a compact built form on full municipal services in the form of townhomes and higher density apartments with access to a long list of attractive amenities. The proposal before you this evening has benefited from the input and feedback from many people. And on behalf of Friday Harbour partners and the Hilton Hotel team, I want to thank the staff and technical team at the town of Innisfil and the county of Simcoe. And I also want to thank the Friday Harbour Working Group who gave a lot of time and energy to provide us with feedback and input on the applications that are before you tonight. You've heard that was led by Ann Hunt, who is the homeowner representative on the Resort Association Board. And other participants that we are grateful to include Anna D'Alessandro, Christine Crowley, Janice Saunders, Jackie Green, Brent Hughes, Tony Muscat, Anna Gonsalves, Dick Coburn, Dave Ray, Mike Jessup, and Anne-Marie Gelinas. These homeowners represent all of the condo corporations across the resort today. A special shout out to Brent Hughes, whose passion and knowledge about pickleball and organizing pickleball events was a godsend to our group. So we are grateful for the time and energy and constructive input of that group. Over the past 2 years, our team has been working with Hilton Hotels on the design of the hotel. The criteria identified by Hilton as essential to a hotel design that would be economically viable and provide acceptable occupancy rates year-round were as follows. They were looking for unobstructed views to Kempenfelt Bay, the Friday Harbour Marina, and Lake Simcoe. And I'm happy to tell you that the hotel design that we've proposed provides these key viewpoints for 92% of the 232 rooms. They were looking for a compact floor plate that facilitates efficiencies in hotel operations. They wanted the hotel to serve as an iconic viewpoint at the resort, adjacent to the marina, with visibility to other parts of the resort and Lake Simcoe. It was to be rich in amenities and including the provision of underground parking, ground floor event spaces. There are 25,000 square feet of conference space connected to the hotel, a rooftop restaurant with 360-degree views, a spa and a four-season outdoor pool, a terrace at the front of the hotel, fronting onto the boardwalk adjacent to the marina that would be available all season. Of course, a connection to the conference facility and a sizable gym. And the hotel that is before you today is containing all of those amenities and features. Hilton has been committed to this project. Last year at the public meeting, we had correspondence from them wherein they set out their commitment to working with Friday Harbour to deliver this hotel. And as recently as this morning, we received a further written commitment that Hilton is fully committed and excited to be working with your group on the Friday Harbour Hotel project as a curio collection by Hilton. Our letter dated June 2024 is still valid, and we are anxious for this project to receive municipal zoning approval. I want to note that we agree with staff's assessment that notwithstanding the requested policy change in the minimum number of hotel rooms from 400 to 200, although we are proposing 232, these hotel rooms will be complemented by short-term accommodation options across the resort that already exist, including Friday Harbour's Lake Simcoe Stays program and the other platforms on which you can rent a unit. At any given point in time, there are some 150 to 200 such short stay units available, and with the addition of the hotel, that number will immediately increase to about 400. As we bring on additional units, like Sunseeker that will be occupied later this year or begin to be occupied later this year, you can expect that those short-term rental options will increase in number. With council approval this evening, we, together with Hilton Hotels, are prepared to start the hotel in the first quarter of 2026. I wanted to say a little bit about the amenities, and as you've heard earlier, in July and August of 2023, even before we filed our applications, we commenced a series of public engagement sessions with the Friday Harbour residents. And those roundtable sessions, et cetera, have been ongoing through to earlier this year. We heard loud and clear that an indoor four-season amenity was desired by the majority of residents. And as a result of these consultations, the Rocket Academy concept was expanded to include an indoor swimming pool, 12 indoor pickleball courts, housed in an 8,000 square foot clubhouse with locker rooms and a pro shop. The plan also includes 4 outdoor tennis courts, fitness stations, an outdoor hot tub, and a patio area overlooking the woodlot. Delivering a four-season facility to be owned and operated by the RA with access rights for hotel guests, and which provides another place to gather, to be active all year, and is a source of revenue for the RA, is a win-win-win for the RA, for the hotel, and for Friday Harbour as a whole. So to conclude, Your Worship, we are proud of what we have accomplished to date at Friday Harbour. We are excited about our partnership with Hilton, and we look forward to delivering on the next chapter of Friday Harbour. We ask for your support of the applications this evening and the recommendations set out in the staff report before you. Thank you, Mayor Dolan. That concludes our submission.
Thank you very much. Questions or comments from Ms. Schindrick? Councillor Saunders.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have 3. So you've got a signed deal with Hilton. What about the spa? And in your planning documents, page 3 of 6, section 2A, there's a spa in the hotel. There's also a spa on the boardwalk. Why do we need to put a 3rd spa in the EP lands?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you to Councillor Saunders. The spa in the at the West End that is sitting in concert with the EP area is a different concept. It's more of a sprawling concept, sometimes referred to as a Nordic spa, so there are lots of indoor-outdoor aspects to it. So it's a different concept than what you'd find in the hotel, which would be smaller, and certainly perhaps similar to what's on the boardwalk today.
Thanks. My next question is, you're saying the rooms in the hotel versus the Airbnbs, which are, there's a couple hundred in there, but the Stays program only has 10 units lined up on it right now. Are the costs of the rooms in the Airbnb and the Stays unit all going to be the same, or is it going to be up and down? Like any Airbnb can offer whatever they want, the hotel offers what they want.
Through you, Your Worship, if I'm understanding your question, Councillor Saunders, the units that are on the short, either the Simcoe Stays or other platforms, are generally multiple day minimum stays, and so the cost of those units are commensurate with the multiple, the number of days that are being rented. You'll be able to stay at the hotel for a single night, of course, so the pricing would be different in that regard.
And my final question, what certainty does the town and the residents have that the rec center, hotel, and conference center are a priority of the developers? What's the timelines for these to be projected to be started, projected time to be occupancies for all of them, and for the rec center to be turned, or the rec academy, sorry, to be turned over to the RA board? And when will that be done?
The timeline, Your Worship, through you, thank you, Michael. The timeline for both the Rocket Academy and the hotel, you heard earlier that they are linked together. We intend to proceed with those two aspects contemporaneously. We have been working with your staff on the site plan for the hotel as an indicator of the commitment to deliver the hotel in a timely manner following, if we are successful this evening, gaining your support of approval. Then we will be in a position to start the hotel early next year, in the first quarter of next year. And we will need to come forward with a site plan application for the Rocket Academy, and we would be undertaking that this fall so that we can move our way through that process and be prepared to start construction of that as soon as possible next year as well.
Thanks. I just have a follow-up. So I'm under the understanding if there's no hotel, there's no Rocket Academy for the residents?
Well, we have linked the two together, but we are committed to the hotel with Hilton, and we recognize it's important to the resort. This is going to, we believe, be a game changer for the resort, and we are committed to it. You know, let me just say that we are committed to building this hotel. We see it as an important addition.
I understand you want to build the hotel, but I think all the residents here want the Rocket Academy first.
And the Rocket Academy comes with the hotel.
Thank you, Councillor Saunders. Councillor Richardson.
Just a quick question. I think that new is great, new amenities is great, but what is your, I mean, we've heard quite a few residents say that there's two buildings now that don't have the pool. The pools aren't being used and can't work. What is your commitment to fixing those first, like fixing the old before you put in the new?
Your Worship, through you to Councillor Richardson, I am advised that those pools are being repaired. It's an operational matter, and I am advised that the team is addressing those deficiencies.
Councillor Waters. So I appreciate very much that, but please honor the respect in this house. You can send comments in if you'd like, but we have to make sure we have decorum in this house.
Your Worship, I will be sure to take that back to the group.
Thank you.
Cool. So do you have a date then of when they would be operational?
I do not. I'm sorry, Councillor Richardson, but like I said, through you, Your Worship, I'll take that back and be happy to respond further to you.
Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Your Worship. A question that I raise in concerns with one of our speakers mentioned something that I completely forgot, that Friday Harbour agreed to build a seniors center, and we signed off on phasing as part of that deal to get that in. And I think there's also a signed agreement with a company. Whatever happened to that? When is it going to be built? And is a signed deal with the hotel the same as the seniors one, which we still don't see?
Ms. Schindrick.
Your Worship, through you to Councillor Waters, the intention is to build that retirement home, and the seniors housing market has been challenged coming out of COVID, but it is every intention of Friday Harbour to see that retirement facility built in that location.
Do you still have a signed agreement?
Your Worship, through you, I'm not privy to that particular, as I understand it, we do, but I'm not intimately involved in that aspect.
Okay, thank you.
I'm being told that we do.
Okay. One other question. You have the choice of decimating an EP area, for racquetball, or moving it across the street to an open area where you could possibly extend the EP into a better transition area, but you've chosen to decimate that part of the property which you own. The EP will still continue on the other side of the property which you don't own. So my question is, why would you choose to destroy an EP, which is a boundary area, which is an ecotone, which is very, very diverse, and which the environmental consultant that the town hired said that it wasn't a minor request, and that there will be serious disruptions for the wildlife that live there and the ecosystem that's there. So my question is, why would you choose to do that when you could have just built across the road?
Your Worship, through you. Thank you, Councillor Waters. Well, we were looking for a location on the site that really tried to pull that facility so that it was far enough away from the resort units, but close enough for convenience of access. And that location at the nexus of Sea Ray and Friday Drive was determined to provide that great location. I would note that we're on the edge of the woodland there. It's about 0.5% of the overall woodland feature that is being removed. And there are measures being put in place to ensure that the edge management of that, following construction, that edge will continue to be healthy and function the way on the other side of the line everything is intended to function.
80% of that land is going to be under a footprint of concrete or asphalt. In terms of its edge management, in terms of returning it to its ecotone balance, is not going to happen. That's a dream. That's not going to happen. You could have theoretically, and I'm going to state it again, you could have moved it across the road. You have a landscaping company. They could have designed it to extend the EP across the road and had the same environment as opposed to putting an EP under concrete. It was, and I realize everyone keeps on referring, it's such a small percentage of the whole thing, but we die by 1,000 cuts. And you had a choice, but you chose not to. And you've stood by that in discussions with our council, and you still refuse to at least accept that piece.
Your Worship, may I respond further? I also want to add, Councillor Waters, that the location placed next to the woodland was a driving factor in placing that facility there, so that it would relate to, and there are opportunities to sit out on the patio or sit out beside the facilities next to the woodland, providing a beautiful context for the facility.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you for the presentation, and we have a recommendation to receive, and that would be moved by Councillor Saunders and seconded by Councillor Ices. All those in favor? That is carried.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. That comes to the end of our delegations, so I'm sure there's people interested in further debate on this item, so I just want to kind of give you quickly an update of our rules of procedure and where we go from here, so you know what's going to happen. So we're going to shortly move into the consent list agenda. So that's every item that we're going to be dealing with tonight. There's a staff recommendation attached to each of those items. If the item isn't pulled, we will confirm that recommendation at the end of tonight's meeting. If the item is pulled for further conversation, that will happen when we resolve into committee of the whole, and we'll have a debate at that time. So we'll see what happens from here on in. But first is item 7, which is our county council municipal associations. These are reports back from members of council who sit not only on this council, but are appointed by this council to sit on other boards and bodies, and to report back on anything significant that has happened at those committees. Deputy Mayor Fowler.
Thank you, Worship. Yesterday, Mayor Dolan and I sat in county for well over 6 hours, so it was another day of meetings that went on very well. One of the big things that came up at the county was the council composition report. As it was required, we needed a triple majority for it to pass, meaning that council had to pass it at the county level, that there had to be letters supporting this, the changing of the bylaw from each community, and it had to be a majority there, and then the population was taken into account. As it stood, it was a tie between the towns, 8 in favor, 8 against. So when that came to be, the report came, it was brought forth again in a recorded vote to bring it up and pass this report off to send a letter to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, asking for him to make a decision to either support the results or break the tie. So currently county's drafting a letter that's going to be sent to all of county council members, which will then be sent to the province to review. As well, another thing that came up, there was some early discussions on the high-level budget discussions. They were looking at 4% for the county portion of the tax levy. As it stands, there was some debate back and forth about limiting it to 3%, but the idea being that the county council decided that we will be the ones to oversee the budget and see where we can best reflect the residents' wishes and how we can slim it down. Afterwards, I attended the Economic Development Committee. I chair it for the county, and there's something coming to Simcoe County called the Regional Technology Development Site Application. They have about 7 of them across Ontario. It's put in place by the Ontario Vehicle Innovation Network. They work with auto, electric, ground vehicles, all manners of tech, to see what they can do using existing infrastructures to forward green energy, green technology, and more things that are energy efficient for the community as a whole. Luckily, we have in Orillia and the north end of Barrie, we have 2 secondary educations systems that are open. They're going to be giving them the space as well as other places around Simcoe County that are available, such as aerospace and whatnot. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any updates from committees? I just want to take a moment to advise that many of us will be attending the Association of Municipalities of Ontario Conference, which starts on Sunday in Ottawa. There's over 2,000 delegates signed up. Almost all 444 municipalities in Ontario attend. All of the Premier, the leaders of the opposition, and also about 30 or 35 different ministers and their staff attend as well. So it's really a good place to network, to find out, when we struggle with issues and problems, to find out how other municipalities have overcome those, to find out what has worked and not worked in other municipalities, and look forward to the opportunity to attend that. As a member of the board, I have to be there early for meetings on Saturday and Sunday, but I look forward to welcoming everybody on Sunday evening. And that's the end of number 7. So except that we have on the Innisfil Heritage Advisory Committee a vacancy, which we're hoping to fill with a mover and a seconder from council. Moved by Deputy Mayor Fowler, seconded by Councillor Drodge. All those in favor? That is carried. We're very excited to have Ms. Allen be on the Innisfil Heritage Committee. She has some experience from being on the Bradford Heritage Committee, so that will come in handy, I'm sure, coming forward. So now we will move to our consent list, and as I mentioned before, this is what we'll decide what we're going to bring forward to Committee of the Whole. So item A1, special council meeting minutes dated June 23rd. A2, special council meeting minutes dated June 25th. A3, council meeting minutes dated June 25th. B1, the Electoral Engagement Advisory Committee report. And B2, the summary of the June 19th Electoral Engagement Advisory Committee meeting. Councillor Drodge?
I'd like to pull that to Committee of the Whole, please.
Thank you. C1, the Facilities GHG Reduction Pathway Feasibility Study. That was our first delegation tonight. Nope, nobody's pulling it. I just want to say good job, very, very good job. C2, this 2025 second quarter operating and capital financial update. I just had a question on that. I don't need to pull it, and that's to do with the ICE funding, the ice storm funding. Very good news that we have the possibility of receiving some funding from the province for the money that was spent cleaning up our roads. Do we have any idea of what that amount is that we're going to be applying for? Ms. Webb?
Mayor Dolan, I'm not sure exactly what that is, but I mean, basically it takes into consideration all the things that we were tracking for the MDRA, but I just don't remember off the top of my head what that formula is in terms of what we can get back, but I can certainly circle back to council with that.
Thank you very much. I'm just happy we have the opportunity because we did spend quite a bit of money on cleanup after that ice storm. Next is C3, the appointment of Arjun Arenja to the Empower Board of Directors. Councillor Waters?
Just a question. Correction to our CAO in terms of why the change? I thought we just elected new members.
CAO Joshua.
Thanks for the question, Councillor Waters. As the report notes, the person that Council previously appointed in June resigned the position, which created a vacancy, which we're now seeking to have filled with Mr. Renja.
Do we have any details on the resignation?
His submission to us was quite brief, so that's probably all I can say.
Thank you. C4, application for approval to expropriate part of 3523 25th Side Road. Next is C5, 1129 Alfred Street, Class 1 variation to the CPPS. Councillor Waters?
I'd like to pull that one, please.
C6, 1932 Strathallan Woods, Class 1 variation from the CPPS. C7, Big Bay Point Road and 20th Side Road traffic signal funding. Councillor Saunders.
I don't want to pull it. I just want to say thanks to the town for getting this all done for us.
Thank you. C8, San Diego Homes Phase 2A subdivision assumption. C9, San Diego Stage 5 subdivision assumption. C10, a proposed official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment, Beach Precinct Hotel and additional amenity areas, Friday Harbour Resort. Councillor Saunders.
Can you pull that to County FO, please?
Thank you. C11, request for minister's zoning order at 1702 Innisfil Beach Road. Councillor Waters?
Just a letter, just a question, sorry. This MZO, did we have any indication that this was happening in terms of the town, or did they go directly to the province and request that MZO without our approval?
Director Lee.
Thank you, Mayor Dolan, through to Councillor Waters. There have been some discussions, but no indication to town staff that they were making a formal request for the MZO.
My question, why are we supporting something that they didn't bother taking the time to involve us in with from square one?
Mayor Dolan, through you to Councillor Waters, the staff report is essentially intended to say we don't think the MZO is the appropriate process, and we outline the reasons that there is no servicing, it's not in a settlement area, and so we were intending to submit those comments to the province. They can still choose to issue an MZO, but those are the comments we were looking to submit before the deadline tomorrow.
My apology, I was looking at a letter of support, so I just took it a different way. So I appreciate the clarification and correcting me. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on that item? No? So then we'll go to D1, the Highway 406 line ESA, final report. D2, the building permits issued, Q2 2025 update. And then there's a number of bylaws, E1, E2, E3, and then correspondence for action, F1. And correspondence for information, G1, the Auto Mayors Association of Simcoe County correspondence. G2, a letter from MMAH. And that is the MZO for Reeve Boulevard, which is the approval of the MZO for the Gateway Casino new location. G3, the Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority. G4, Ontario Nature, Opportunities for Local Wetland Conservation and Leadership in Innisfil. G5, the Bradford Innisfil Police Services Board meeting. And G6, a number of proclamations. So next, we have item H1, Councillor Waters' mandatory generators, motion of which notice has been given. Councillor Waters, did you want to speak to it?
Very briefly, this is something I became aware of as I was having my hair cut, and my hairstylist was telling me all about the things that happened during the ice storm, and I was intently listening. And one thing that I didn't know is that our one retirement home in Innisfil does not have backup generators, and it meant that several people couldn't move between floors. Elderly individuals couldn't move between floors because there was no backup generator. So in discussion with staff, I've asked in terms of, do we have any legislative ability to mandate generators for these type of facilities, and told that that lies with the province. And so we had discussed the idea of sending a letter off to the provincial regulator and asking them to consider the idea of generators, backup generators for these facilities, so we don't see this happen again. So just something I thought was prudent to do, and hopefully we get a response. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder, Councillor?
Yeah.
Oh, we don't need it? Okay. So I can support this for sure. The only thing that I would point out is that long-term care homes are much more strictly run than retirement homes. Long-term care homes have to have redundancy built in. They have to have 2 sets of elevators. They have to have generators. It's the retirement homes that are more the less regulated, but I'm happy to support.
Thank you.
So we going to move to the consent list continued, and those are the items that we pulled to be discussed this evening, and that is moved by Deputy Mayor Fowler and seconded by Councillor Zanella. All those in favor? That is carried. Just to the clerks, we did not vote on that notice with which notice has been given. The motion with the notice has been given. Does that happen later? Okay, thank you. It's in the consent, so we don't have to pull it out. Thank you. All right, motion to move into committee of the whole, please. Councillor Waters, Councillor Richardson, all those in favor? That is carried. All right, so the first item pulled was Councillor Drudge.
Thank you, Your Worship. My seconder is Deputy Mayor Fowler. First, I want to start off, the Electoral Engagement Committee did a fantastic job here, and I do believe that having you guys running this committee is going to help our turn or vote out come election time next year. I originally was going to come out tonight and say that I definitely 100% wanted to have paper ballots still involved right through the whole process, but since I read a report from our clerk, Patty Toma, from the HA of Sandy Cove Acres, stating that the HA supports an online telephone voting system, I'm now having a thought that maybe we don't have to have a paper vote through the whole process. So my thought to this was actually a recommendation that I believe the electoral committee offered as an option of having a paper vote for pre-voting. So anything before advance voting. So anything advanced voting, they could actually come to town hall and still have a paper ballot vote. And then come election day, we would move to online or telephone. And I think the logic behind that would be giving time for anybody that's involved in that to count those votes up and not cause chaos during election day. So I'd like to move for a friendly amendment, if it's possible, to include on pre-voting to allow paper ballot, and then on election day, move to just online and telephone.
Mr. Jacob.
Thank you, Your Worship. To Councillor Draw, just want to clarify that with our internet and telephone voting over the last 3 elections, we don't have what's called traditionally an advanced voting period, where there's specific days that are allocated for people to vote prior to election day. Because we've used electronic methods of voting, internet and telephone, we've actually had a 10-day voting period where it starts on a certain day and ends on election day, where anyone can cast their ballots. So we would just have to clarify, what would constitute advanced voting, just for if it's the wish of council to use paper ballots in the next election. But over the last 3, with our electronic methods, we haven't had those specific advanced days. We've just had a 10-day voting period up until and ending on election day.
Yeah, so can I just add to that too, Councillor Drudge? So what you're asking for, I think, has been available. The only difference is if you come in 10 days before the election and you want to vote, instead of being given a piece of paper where you mark an X, you're given a tablet where you mark an X. So it's the same thing, but it's still electronic because it's a tablet that's handed to you as opposed to a piece of paper that's handed to you. I just want to double check that with Ms. Brain to make sure that I'm correct.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, we do have tablets available for anyone that needs assistance with voting. And that electronic ballot looks very much like a paper ballot.
Councillor Drudge?
Sorry, Worship, I'll let Councillor Richardson add to that point before I speak.
So as opposed to someone having to come and ask for help, can we not just say on the first 2 days of the 10 days that this is going to be here, you can come here and do this, so that no one feels that they have to come and ask for help. It's already just going to be here that they come and use those tablets.
Those tablets are available during the voting period.
So they're
always.
just there, they don't
Yeah.
have to ask for it, just they come in.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Saunders.
Will there be staff on hand during the voting period? So people that were having trouble using the electronic, will the staff be there to help them out?
The full election plan about supporting the voters is still to be developed, but we are absolutely going to have staff on hand here at Town Hall to support voters, as well as some off-site locations. In 2022, we had help from the library staff as well, and we did some off-site at Sandy Cove and Friday Harbour, and another location down in the southeast of Innisfil. So we are available for help, and we're also looking for election ambassadors to help spread that information and provide some guidance to voters who are looking for information as well.
Thank you. Councillor Drudge.
Okay, maybe I said paper ballot and I've sent myself off. So so just so we're clear, online and telephone is what's proposed to us. We still have the options of people going to those areas for extra help using a ballot, or sorry, using a tablet.
Using an electronic ballot, correct.
I could withdraw talking about B2. I just wanted it there for the people that didn't quite understand how to go through it in their home, that they would have somewhere to go to have someone assist them. So that was my main goal. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Councillor Ices, then Councillor Richardson, and the deputy.
Thank you, Worship. Councillor Dodge, I was agreeing with you on the concept of a paper ballot, because I think the experience of voting, there's the new way, sitting on your couch and voting, and there's the way that I like the feel of having to drive somewhere, making an intentional effort to make that vote. So I don't want to change anything in the motion, but perhaps we can, instead of calling it a help, can we call it advanced voting? If somebody wants to have that experience, so that's kind of draws them in, as opposed to saying, you know, I don't know how to do this, I need help. And I'm sure, getting back to the electoral engagement committee, I'm sure they had those discussions too, and I noticed that the voting for this way of voting wasn't unanimous at the committee level either. So I'm sure these discussions happen there, and I commend that committee for bringing this forward. But I'm agreeing with you, Councillor Dodge, but maybe we can just market this differently.
Thank you. Councillor, who did I have next? Councillor Richardson?
Just a quick question. In an effort to have all Canadian companies, is this company that we use for the voting a Canadian company?
I can probably answer that through your worship. The process for obtaining the provider has not been established yet. We will have to follow our purchasing bylaw and go along with those guidelines.
Councillor, oh, sorry, did I skip you? I did, sorry. Deputy Mayor, then Councillor Dodge.
Thank you, Worship. The question I have is regarding people who don't have access to the internet or poor signals, or the case may be. During the previous election, we set up mobile units that went around. Are we doing that again this year, or this election? Because if the idea is someone down in Cookstown wants to do it and they don't have access, if they're senior or someone, say, in Guildford or even Alcona, do we have those locations for them?
Through you, your worship, we definitely will have outreach locations. We have also are exploring the option of having those off-site locations on election day as well.
Councillor Dodge.
Thanks, your worship. Just to build off Councillor Icy's comment, in-person voting, I think maybe should just be what we call it. You can go in person to vote, and then I don't think we need to do a pre or advanced polling, because it is electronic, so we might as well let that run hand in hand. But yeah, just maybe saying that if you'd like to vote in person, please come to these locations.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I just want to give a big shout out to the volunteers from the Electoral Engagement Committee. They came together shortly after the 2022 election, which saw a very low voter turnout here, not just here in Innisfil, but sadly in many, many places across Ontario and across Canada. There were a record number of acclamations in 2022, and we've seen, for many reasons, I believe, a drop-off of voter turnout, particularly for municipal elections. So thank you to the Electoral Engagement Committee for doing what they can to get the interest back. I know they've been working with a group, Healthy Democracy, which is a group from AMO that works on a number of issues. Respectful discourse is part of it, and also making sure that people understand how important the functions of the municipal government. I often say if the federal government went away for a week, unless you needed a passport, you wouldn't even notice. If the municipal government shut down for a week, you would notice it. Your roads wouldn't get plowed, your ice rinks wouldn't be open, you wouldn't have your parks looked after, you wouldn't have water and wastewater services, you couldn't flush your toilet or turn on your tap. So all of those things that municipal government does are important and matter each and every day. And that has to, I believe, reflect better in the voter turnout. So hopefully we'll be able to work on getting lots and lots of wonderful candidates for the 2026 election, and then get lots of interest and lots of good discussion, good healthy discussion, and fill these seats in 2026 with a great group of people who have been voted in by a large number of Innisfil residents. That's my wish. Anyone else have anything? Seeing none, we have a mover and a seconder. Now, did we make any amendment to this, Councillor Drudge?
Thanks, Your Worship. Just as I read it, I don't see it anywhere where we have the option to go in person and vote digitally via tablet. Should that be added into the bylaw, or can that still work with the current way the bylaw is written?
I think because it's in the staff report, I think it would be all right, but Mr. Jacob?
Your Worship, through you to Councillor Drudge, that would be included in the election plan. So the in-person piece would certainly be captured within the plan that we're still developing, but there certainly will be opportunities for members of the public, should they wish to cast their ballot at Town Hall with assistance within the plan. So.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, and I think the point's well received, though. It's not just people who want assistance, it's people who just want the experience of coming to Town Hall or anywhere in the town to a polling station, quote unquote, to mark their X. Thank you. So all in favor of the recommendation? That is carried. Thank you very much. Next item brought forward is C10, and that was Councillor Saunders. My apologies. I think we missed one. C5?
Yeah, Your Worship, sorry to clarify, we're just pulling that up right now.
So that C5 was pulled by Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Worship. I don't have any other amendments to it, but I do have some questions for staff pertaining to this. You may get quite joy in correcting me again. However, the question is, at what point do we decide that a building permit is not residential and commercial? The reason I'm asking is that I looked at the plans for this building, and there are 12 bedrooms. That seems more like a hotel than it does a residential building. And so my question is, this seems like a ghost hotel waiting to be built as opposed to a residential compound. Thank you.
Through your worship to Councillor Waters, a few points about this. First of all, we did reach out to the applicant and asked, first of all, the first thing about it, the bylaw doesn't have a restriction on the number of bedrooms. There are some very large lots in the town where we've approved some larger homes. But secondly, the applicant is Orthodox Jewish, and they require separate bedrooms for all the children in their large family and extended family members. So that's our understanding of why this is being proposed the way it is.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't too sure why someone would need 12 bedrooms. And since we've had the discussion around ghost hotels and that kind of stuff, it seemed a little bit suspicious. And also we get these boathouses which have 2,000 square foot storage areas. So I'm a bit suspicious when I read things like that. And so I want to make sure I ask the questions and feel a little more comfortable when I'm voting on it. So I appreciate the clarification on that. Thank you.
Other questions or comments on this item? Councillor Drudge.
Thank you, Your Worship. No comments. I am the seconder on that, Clerk.
Thank you. And just a question from me, Mr. Montgomery. So the report talks about only one request for change from what the standard zoning would be, and that is the front yard setback. But other than that, everything, all of the specs fit within the zoning on that particular piece of property as far as heights and maximum lot coverage and so on and so forth?
To your worship, that's correct. There's no staff variances or council variances.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, there's a mover and a seconder. All in favor? That is carried. Now is C10, and that was Councillor Saunders.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Drodge is going to second this for me. I just brought it up because it seems like it's a very contentious situation right now between the residents of Friday Harbour, residents of Innisfil. So I just want to get a nice big discussion going on how council and the residents are feeling about this.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Fowler.
Thank you, Your Worship. Okay, this report, I'm reading it, I'm going through it, and in so many ways, I have so many issues with this. If we take a look at it initially, if we're talking about the idea versus an actuality, right? It's good that Friday Harbour wants to put in a hotel. It is good that they want to add more units. That's understandable, money and whatnot. It's good that they want to put in the pickleball courts and everything else that we need. In actuality, changing a maximum permitted height for the hotel from 6 stories to 15, that's 150%. Changing the minimum number of hotels from 400 to 200 and claiming Airbnb, it's feasible, but still not. A change in the maximum number of resort residential units, an increase from 2,600 to 3,500 when you have over almost 100 on the market from personal owners. I don't see that as an opportunity. A change in the maximum permitted height of resort residential buildings within the beach precinct ranging from 4 to 8 stories and 14 stories. You're telling me that they're going to take a 4-story building and put it in a corner and jump it up to 14, and this is somehow according to the plan. That's supposed to bolster businesses that are failing, that when people don't come, this is not the idea being it, and then on top of that, you're rezoning, environmentally protected lands. It's the idea that you want to do good, but the way you're doing it is it's being shoehorned in at the cost of everybody around them. It doesn't gel with the plan. It doesn't support the local businesses that are already dying or struggling. And the best part about this is that if you negate one, you have to negate the additional 2 under this report. So if I like the racquetball court, but I don't like the 15-story hotel, and I say no to the hotel, the racquetball court, out the window, right? It's trying to jam too much all at once, and in my personal opinion, it's an overreach. The hotel jumping up to 15 stories, I wouldn't want to live on one of the streets right next to it. When they said that it's a maximum height of 6 stories, and all of a sudden you're jumping to 15, that doesn't respect the surrounding community. It looks like everything's being shoveled in to such a degree that the perception from the community, both Friday Harbour and the Point, is that it's a money grab. That's the way it comes across. So if there was a way we could review this, take the hotel down to, you can expand the width of the hotel, you can keep the same number of rooms, you'd have to sacrifice some residential units in this regard, and then on top of that, that would actually help bolster the market. The Toronto condo market's crashed. They can't sell any, so they stopped building altogether, but we moved it up to Innisfil, and all of a sudden, well, they'll buy up there. If they're not going to buy in Toronto in the heart of a growing Mecca, they're not going to buy up in Innisfil. It's not going to happen. It's the way they've got it, the way everything is set up is just it's too much all at once. The best way to move forward is to send this back to staff, reevaluate the design of the hotel and the conference center, And then from there, you know, see what you can do about moving and saving the environmentally protected lands. We designate them environmentally protected because they're precious to us, because they're limited, because they're fragile. Now what we want to do is go, oh, well, you know, we're removing 5% of it. Well, that's fine. 5% this time and 5% next time and 5% next time is something that I can't agree with. Like, this plan it's short-sighted. I like the idea of the hotel. I like the idea of the conference center. I like the idea of the racquetball court. These are amenities that would make the point blossom financially all around and would make a lot of people happy. But the way it's done right now is so heavy-handed and so short-sighted that all it's going to do is cause distension. It's going to cause disruption. It doesn't have, like, we're hearing from many people here who don't have the amenities they've been promised from 15, 20 years ago. Like, it's just, they're not keeping up before they plan ahead. It's got to be revisited. It's got to be reviewed. It's got to be revamped. It's got to fit into the community, both at Friday Harbour and the Point. I can't support this.
Sorry. No clapping, I'm sorry. Next is Councillor Zanella.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I cannot support this recommendation. When I look at this hotel, it's out of place. It just does not fit in with the resort. And do we need a hotel and a conference center? 100% we do. I was happy with the 6 stories and the 400 rooms, because I think if we're going to have a convention center, we don't have any hotels anywhere in Innisfil. So I think that was the great plan, the 6 stories with the 400, and it looked nicer. This looks like it belongs in the GTA, maybe Vaughan, but it does not belong in Innisfil. And I've researched all the different resorts in Simcoe County, Cranberry, Deerhurst, Blue Mountain, Nottawasaga, and there are no 15-story buildings. The Deerhurst is 5 floors on the main, 6 and 7 floors in another. They've got 400 rooms. Cranberry has 3 floors in the hotel and additional floors in the condo addition, 442 rooms. Blue Mountain has 97 rooms with over 1,000 different accommodation units. The Westin at Blue Mountain has 228 units on 5 floors, and Nottawasaga has 269 units on 5 floors. This is Simcoe. This is the way our resorts look, and I just don't think that that doesn't look like Simcoe. It doesn't look like Innisfil, and it doesn't look like the rest of the resorts in Simcoe County. So I can't support it. Thank you.
Councillor Richardson?
Just a quick question. With the residential potential of 2,600 to 3,500 new residential units, I didn't see anywhere in the report that the school boards were consulted, because that's potentially up to 3,500 new kids that need to find a place to go to school. So I just wonder if they were consulted, if they just didn't answer, or what happened with the school boards.
Mr. Correa?
Through you, Mayor Dolan. So through the circulation process, we did reach out and circulate each of the school boards, and noting that if approved, there would be site plan control that's required and further comments that we would expect. At this point, no additional school sites were identified through that analysis.
Councillor Waters?
Thank you, Your Worship. I think generally across the board, people don't like the heights. I think the residents have pointed that out, so I'm not going to focus my attention on that because it's already been discussed. I'm going to go back to my comments to our speaker earlier around the designation of our EP lands, which are now going to be under concrete for racket sports and a spa. And my questions have to deal around the procedure by which we allowed them to get around this. And apparently, on page 11 of 21, it states that the proponent would have to get a change in the secondary plan if it weren't for the fact that these were classified as minor and they had an edge management plan. Is that correct?
Manager Correa?
Through Mayor Dolan, that is correct. So there's policies in the secondary plan that sort of outline edge management and minor refinements. And there was a planning justification report that was provided by the applicant and reviewed by staff in terms of validating our interpretation of those policies.
So we recognize the fact that if we classify it as a minor, that they would be able to adjust the boundaries of the EP land. My question is, we walked into a pre-meeting with them and agreed with them that this was a minor variance before we had requested a report from our consultant around whether or not these were minor changes and it had any significant impact on the woodlands. In that report, which came later, the consultant we hired said, no, these were not minor variations and that they were significant, yet we still allowed them to push forward, and we agreed with them that these were a minor, and the minor seems to be based on, it's only 4 acres out of 85. But it doesn't attach any value to the fact, the value of those areas to ecotone habitats in terms of the most biodiverse areas. And both of those, if you go to where the spa is going to be, you have fields, you have a transition zone, you have a forest, which are all very important. Now you're going to plunk down a spa in all the middle of that, and the damage that you're going to be doing to that habitat is going to be quite significant. And I even though I've requested the report, I haven't seen it yet. It would be nice to be able to see that at some point in time. But even on the south area, all the EP land that's on Friday Harbour property is going to be wiped out basically because they have to put all those courts in. Then they're going to replant it and improve the edge back to hopefully where, well, you're not going to get the habitat that was once there. Once you have racquetballs and you have the noise of racquetballs, the owners of the new condos don't want to be beside the racquetball because of the noise. Well, do you think birds and wildlife are going to be one next to that? Absolutely not. We could have easily said to them that EP land, no touching the EP land is not minor under any circumstances. They could have moved that racquetball court to the other side. They could have got their architects to design and extend EP lands over to that area and improved it all, but we chose the easy way to allow them to do that. So I am at ends with to decide, that why we would choose to allow them to develop on EP lands when it is a significant impact to that. So because of that reason, and not the other reasons, because I agree with them as well, I can't support this either. So that's my comments. Thank you.
Anyone else has comments to make? For the first time, and then we'll go through the second. Councillor Drotch.
Your Worship, the Deputy Mayor was very specific and to the point, and I tend to agree with almost absolutely everything he said. I just shake my head because this whole project evolved from something that used to be like the hotel used to be kind of in the middle of this project. And if they would have seen the foresight that Hilton would want a 15-story hotel and they proposed it in the original location where it wouldn't have affected anybody outside of the Friday Harbour area, you might have got it. But you decided to build more condos over there, push the hotel down the road again, and bring it forward at a later date. And I think it's ultimately biting you in the ass, to be frank. 15 stories on a hotel by itself in the middle of a development, maybe, but you're 15 stories on a hotel, and then while you're doing 50 stories on a hotel, you're now going to do 15 stories on residential development as well on the project. The whole thing is too grand. I think, Deputy Mayor, you did say 100% correct. I can't support this just simply on the plan being too grand. One other comment I'd like to add is it does seem efficient that your HA is on board because your HA is dying to have the amenities put in, but you're tying it to something that you want. I'm pretty sure the entire Friday Harbour residents would support this completely if you started first with giving them their amenities, then talking about the hotel in a phase 2, and then talking about your residential growth in phase 3. And if you broke those 3 up, I think we'd all be having a different conversation this evening.
Councillor Drotch, decorum goes both ways. Please use parliamentary language. Thank you. Councillor Ices.
Thank you, Worship. Yeah, I agree with a lot of the comments that have been made. But what comes back to me is the concept behind this report everybody wants. The hotel and the amenities with the racquetball court. And so I'd be disappointed if we turn this down and those things that people want were tossed aside. So I'm hoping there's some way we can, through this discussion, keep those things that we want, but change them so that everybody agrees that they're done the right way.
Thank you. Councillor, Deputy Mayor Fowler and Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Worship. I'm going to give a point to Councillor Drudge. Is the previous council we were sitting here when the hotel was moved from the center out to the edge after it was initially, if my memory serves me correct, moved to the center from the original location. So this has been a moving piece in the community for a while. In response to Councillor Ices, I'm thinking along the same lines. Is there a way we can send this back to staff, have this reevaluated, broken down into 3 separate reports so that it's not all or nothing, that we can say that piece 1 with the racquetball court is reevaluated, and if we approve, once that's done, then we start on the hotel and the conference center, and then we review the design there. And then once that is put into play, then we look at the remaining space for residential. The one biggest issue I have with this report is if you deny one, you deny it all. If you accept one, you accept it all. It's either the whole pie or none at all. So if we can send this back so that it doesn't go to the province, we speak to Friday Harbour, we say these are the reports, these are the responses we've gotten from the community, this is what council thinks, this is what we want. Now, we present it to Friday Harbour, what can we do to rectify this to make sure that this moves ahead smoothly and the people get what they ask for and what they deserve before something they don't want gets added into the knapsack without their consent? Is there something we can do along those lines?
Director Lee.
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. Deputy Mayor, I think the challenge staff has is this is one planning application. So it's an application for all of those components. So staff can't take part of the application and make a decision on it and then a different part of it. We've certainly heard some of the dialogue and appreciate we're looking to get all of the dialogue from council and then potentially provide some additional suggestions on how you address that. But that's the challenge, is it's one complete proposal that's been submitted and one decision.
Deputy Mayor.
So if we were to send it back to you with the comments made tonight, the comments made from the public, and more being brought into the equation, is there the potential for the conversation to occur where the planning application can be altered accordingly so that it fits better within the fabric of Friday Harbour and Big Bay Point? Is the potential there to do so? Because I don't want to go, no, they go challenge the province, then this whole big rigmarole occurs, as opposed to let's meet at the table and find a middle ground that we can make a majority of people happy or unhappy, as the case may be.
Director Lee.
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. Deputy Mayor, I think I need a bit more clarity from council. At this point, I've heard the EP area, the height of the building, and I think I heard one other area from you in terms of certainty phasing, potentially in terms of what comes first or second. So those are 3 specific issues. In terms of, the comments that have been made tonight, the staff report did speak to, the majority of those comments have been raised and staff have identified how they believe those are addressed. The community doesn't agree that that's how they've been addressed. So that's a decision for council at this point, but I'm not sure taking those comments back. They were comments that were made previously in terms of the concerns on the height of the hotel and the phasing and the staging. So we can certainly take it back, have further discussions on those 3 areas of sort of the phasing, the height, and the EP area. It will then be a decision of Friday Harbour if they want the application to stay the way it is and be represented back, or whether there are solutions from their perspective beyond that. I don't know if there are other specific concerns. I think we're looking for some specific direction from Council Mayor Dolan.
Thank you. So we'll ask if there's other specific requests or suggestions that staff need to hear. Councillor Saunders?
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have already discussed with clerks this morning and the development crew of putting a recommendation through to go back to staff. So if they want to, can they bring it up on board? Do you guys still have it? And it pretty much takes care of everybody's concerns right here. So it says we're going to refer it back to staff. We want to bring the height restrictions back to a maximum of 6 stories for the hotel and the condominiums. We want to make sure there's a maximum of 200 guest rooms for the hotel. The environmentally protected lands are not going to be touched, and there's going to be a phasing agreement put in place where the Racket Academy, the hotel, and the conference center are the first things to be done should they not be completed and turned over to the resident association. Phase 2, which is the building agreements of the beach area, will not go forward. So that is my proposal to take it back to staff. I think that pretty much covers almost everybody's concerns within the town, Big Bay Point, and Friday Harbour. So hopefully we get this through. Thanks.
Just clarity though, Councillor Saunders, so.
Minimum was correct, I believe.
Right.
Minimum 200 rooms, not maximum.
Yeah, minimum. Thank you. So just to be clear, we can't direct planning staff to change their opinion. We can ask them what the, to take it back and to see what the implications of doing those things are, but we can't tell staff to change their opinion on, you know, their professional planning opinion. So how it works is we get an application for anything, like Councillor Zanella could bring in an application to make her home a 40-story condominium. She could do that. And staff under the Planning Act then have to circulate, prepare, and come to council with a recommendation. So they have to do that under the Planning Act. There's a thing called a non-decision. So if an application is filed and it is complete, and there's not a decision made within a certain amount of time, the applicant has the ability to go to the Ontario Land Tribunal and have them make the decision without input from us or from residents. So what they've done is an application has come in, our staff have circulated it, got information back from many peer reviewers, but also reviewed the professional reports that came in from the applicant, and then they formed their opinion based on best planning practice from their professional planning careers. So our job, council, is to hear from the folks, the people, and to bring forward concerns that we've heard, and we can send that back to staff with things that we would like, but just letting them know that what we're asking for is for them to tell what are the implications of those things, as opposed to you must change your decision. So, Councillor Gershow, CAO Gershow.
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. I'd just like to pick up on your comments so that council I guess, understands what the implications of this motion are. So I think, Mayor Dolan, you're right. We are obliged to deal with the applications that are submitted to the town. There is an application in front of council. So I think really what you're asking here is whether Friday Harbour is willing to amend their application. It's not up to staff to decide what the applicant is applying with. And so, I mean, we could report in the abstract on hypothetically what a different application, what opinions we might have on that, but we're obliged to deal with the application that's on the table. And if Friday Harbour, is unwilling to change their application, there's nothing staff can really do about that. And it may be worth mentioning that at this point in the process, Friday Harbour does have the ability to appeal council's non-decision on their application at this point in the process. So that's a factor for council to consider as well.
So comments or questions on the motion to refer that is currently on the screen? Director Lee, does it give you enough of what you're looking for, of council's direction?
I think, Mayor Dolan, if we can be clear on that environmental protection, what I believe I heard Councillor Saunders say is the development not occurring in the environmental. So the removal of development, so no development in the environmental protection lands. And then Mayor Dolan, in terms of at the next meeting, I'm not sure we're going to have an opportunity at an upcoming meeting. I mean, we'll try and bring it back as quickly as we can, ideally, September, but I don't know that we can do it for the next meeting of council because we'll need time to talk to Geranium. It could be quick. We could have it back if there's no intent to revise the application. We'll bring it back as quickly as we can.
So there's a lot of typing going on there. So I want Councillor Saunders and Councillor Drodge to read their motion and make sure they're comfortable with the wording. Councillor Richardson.
Okay, so just to go off what CAO Jershaw said, I believe that when we had our public meeting, we did have this, I feel like we've already had these conversations where we said that having 15 stories was not something that we were interested in. And so I feel like we've already gone and kind of said that to Friday Harbour to give them a chance to come back and say, okay, we listened to what you said, we're gonna go lower, and they haven't. So I'm not sure, like I agree with this, but I'm not sure it's going to get us what we want, I guess, so to speak. I don't, like if they already had a chance to change their mind, I don't think they have. Or am I wrong in that thought?
We're about to find out, aren't we? Anyone else have a comment? Councillor Waters.
Just a quick comment is that what we're looking at is we're just looking at the beach area. There's a whole area next to Big Bay Point Road, which we have no idea what Friday Harbour has planned for that. I'm sure it's not going to be what their original vision was. And so we're voting also on a plan that's kind of half-baked. We don't know, are they going to start asking for 20 and 30 stories because it's further away from the lake and further away from residents, it's next to the road. So like I says, I'm a bit concerned that we're only getting half a plan here and not the whole picture. And so I just wanted to bring that point up, that we're only looking at half the plan. There's still, if we're going to be going up to 3,700 residents, does that include what the existing plan is now? Or does that include what Friday Harbour has plans, 10 years down the road for that piece of land? So it's just something to add to the confusion of the whole thing. Thank you.
Councillor Ices.
Thank you, Worship. I wanted to maybe pick up a little bit on CAO Jershaw's comment about us being in non-decision here. Could someone explain that path, that if Friday Harbour says, we're not willing to change what we've presented here, then it goes to the OLT, and then all the decisions around this are not in our hands anymore. So I just wanted for the residents to know what could happen, and us as council don't have that authority to make that decision anymore. Am I explaining that right? Maybe help me out on that.
No, that's right, Councillor Ices. In fact, the original Friday Harbour was born out of it was called the Ontario Municipal Board back then, but the same body, the same quasi-judicial body. Director Lee?
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. So you are correct. If they're, given it's currently at a non-decision, so it's beyond the Planning Act requirements in terms of making a decision on the application, the applicant can certainly make that appeal of a non-decision. It would go to the Ontario Land Tribunal. They do make the final decision, so it's a provincial body. The applicant would make representations. The town would, we would need council's direction, but I would anticipate we would make submissions on why we hadn't made a decision and what the concerns of council were, and so we would make those representations, but ultimately the decision would be made outside of council's hands.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Worship. I'm going to direct this at Friday Harbour directly. And I'm going to, oh, sorry, I can't. Sorry, through staff, sorry. We have a rare occasion here. Normally, what happens is if the point says something, Friday Harbour says something different. If Friday Harbour states a point, the point usually contests it. It's been an ongoing battle ever since they've set shovels in the ground. What we have now is the rare occasion where both Friday Harbour and the point are on the same page. They're agreeing. They're standing up to the corporation saying this is not acceptable, this is not the way we want it, this is, they've in effect unified. So I'm just want to express and reinforce the point that working with the community will have far greater results than challenge them and trying to move in a heavy-handed manner. That's, if we can work with that, I think anything we can do just to find a middle ground, I think it would be applicable, feasible, let's just try to make it happen and make it beautiful for all.
Councillor Saunders.
Thanks. I just want to make a fast point. That is, if council, I'm sure this is true, they can correct me if I'm wrong, if council turns this down tonight 100%, Friday Harbour can go back to the OLT and go through the same process of changing it. Am I not correct?
Through you, Mayor Dolan, to Councillor Saunders, that is correct. If the application is denied, they still have that ability to appeal that decision of council.
Councillor Waters.
If we choose to go to the OLT and challenge it, can council direct staff to bring in witnesses in terms of, I'm talking about the environmental consultant we hired, but didn't heed their warnings around the EP lands? Can we bring them in? Would we hire them to speak on our behalf? Because I know we can't use our staff because you've already made your decision, so we would have to hire new planners. So can council direct what type of defense we'd like to present?
Through you, Mayor Dolan, to Councillor Waters. I don't think I want to get into specifics at this point in time, Councillor Waters. There would be a report from legal counsel to council when we actually get notification of an OLT hearing, and there would be discussion on what representation on behalf of the town would look like with council.
Thank you.
Yeah, probably not a good idea to discuss the legal strategy in an open public meeting, just saying.
But it might be worthwhile saying that we're willing to go that way.
Any more questions or comments? Director Lee.
Mayor Dolan, I'm still struggling, I think, with the motion. I think where it says be referred back to staff to report on the implications, I think it would really be more be referred back to staff to discuss potential amendments to the applications related to height restriction, et cetera, and report back at a future meeting.
Thank you, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and ask a question, but please don't beat me up as non-environmentalist. The land where the Nordic Spa was supposed to be, and the forest school, I can't imagine where that could be built if it wasn't built on, like, I don't know how you have a forest school without being in a forest, but so do we want to say no development in the environmental protection lands, or do you want to say lessen the impact of development in the, I don't know. I'm just putting it out there because it's an amenity that I think people are in support of, the spa part. And I think I agree with you that the racket club would be relatively easy to move as long as it's not close to people's homes, because I hear enough about the noise of racquetball or pickleball. But I'm just wondering, if you're saying no development on environmental protection lands, are you discounting are you saying no to the spa and the forest school? Councillor Saunders.
No, we want the Racket Academy moved because it's going to have the biggest impact.
I'm always open to compromise. Like the tree trekking, I know in several conservation areas, they've managed to blend the two together in sensitive areas. So I think that's a possibility. I think acknowledgement of, in terms of any types of buildings, in terms of where they are they in the forest or are they closer to the roadway? So there's some options. So I'm open to discussion, but the racquetball is an area which I think needs to be moved completely and just onto the other side of the road and come up with some sort of plan that extends that EP into that area. So I'm open to compromise.
So can I suggest then, instead of saying a no minimal, that works better. Thank you so much. Any other, Councillor Drudge?
You just said what I wanted to say. Thanks.
Any other comments or questions on this item? Last chance. Director Lee, any last thoughts?
No, Mayor Dolan, I think that is clearer for our purposes, and we appreciate the input from council to be clear on what you were looking for in follow-up.
Thank you. So I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor of the recommendation? Those opposed? That's carried. Thank you. That marks the end of our consent agenda items. So we have a rise recommendation, please. Moved by Councillor Constantine, seconded by Councillor Ices. All those in favor? That is carried. And then we're adopting the recommendations from Committee of the Whole. Moved by Councillor Drudge, seconded by Councillor Zanella. All those in favor? That is carried. There are no notices of motion. Announcements. Given the hour, I would ask if we could keep the announcements short. Councillor Ices.
Thank you, Worship. For Ward 1, this Saturday, August 16th, there's the MP annual free community barbecue at the Stroud Community Arena, 11:30 to 1:30. The farmers market continues on Thursdays. There's a outdoor movie night on August the 22nd at the Stroud Arena. Mona 2 is playing that night. And on August the 15th, which is this Friday, Spartans have an exhibition game. Those are my announcements.
Thank you. Councillor Constantine. Nothing for tonight. Councillor Richardson.
I, of course, have lots, but I'll be fast. On August 19th is Music in the Park at Town Square. Florin Kalanta will be there. Tomorrow at the Lakeshore Branch is a book chat with the author Taylor Jenkins Reid. Innisfil Pharmasave and Walking Club still is happening every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. You can meet at the Pharmasave. Summer Reading Club is wrapping up. Thank you to all the amazing local sponsors for supporting this program. Kids are loving it and reading lots more. The short story contest is open. The deadline to submit is December 19th. I know that that's a favorite from quite a few of us that like to go to that contest. And then Shoppers Drug Mart on Innisfil Beach Road. It's their grand reopening on Friday. They're celebrating the expansion of their healthcare offerings with the pharmacy care clinics. And then this Sunday is through the Rotary Club and the Innisfil Arts Club is a dinner in white. We don't know what the location is, so it could be any ward, but if you haven't got your tickets, make sure you get tickets still.
Thank you. Councillor for Ward 4, Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Worship. Just a couple of items. On August 26th, there's Music in the Park, Innisfil Beach Park from 6:30 to 8:30. And then every Thursday, there's the Antique Car Show, which is in Innisfil Beach Park.
Thank you. Councillor Zanella.
Thank you. In Ward 5 on August 23rd from 10 to 3, there is a vendor market on Beach Avenue, and that's off of Mapleview. So if you can make it out, that's 10 to 3 on August 23rd. Thank you.
Thank you. Where am I? 6. Councillor Saunders.
2 events happening at the Legion, the live bands every Saturday night, starting at the Legion. And the Lefroy Fun Day is August 24th from 10 to 3.
And Councillor Drodge, Ward 7.
Thank you, Worship. August 16th at the Guildford United Church, there's a Guildford steak dinner from 5 to 7. And September 16th, there's Music in the Park in Cookstown Library. It's Leo and the Strays. It's rescheduled from August 12th.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
I'll be passing tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope everybody had a nice month off and less agendas to read. There's been a long list of events happening. I know although we didn't have council meetings, we were busy attending lots and lots of different events. I just want to highlight 2 in particular. One was Colonel Simpson's Corn Stand, which turned 60 this year, and also the Georgian Bay Steam Show turned 60 this year, which were both great events. But I also want to just take a moment and recognize 2 Innisfil residents that we lost last month. So Larry Wilkins. Larry's a long time Lions president of the Lions and a long-time Lion member. He also served on our Police Services Board for many years as well, and very much beloved in the community, and we will miss him very much. And also, although he didn't live in Innisfil, he certainly had a lot of property here and cared a lot about Innisfil. Doug Drysdale Sr. from Drysdale's Tree Farm passed away, and we're very sorry to lose him. They had a wonderful event for him at the Christmas Tree Farm in Essa that was really well attended. And finally, Verna Sawyer. Verna, longtime resident on Guildford Road with her husband Joe, very passionate about flowers, and also an avid member of, and actually on the board of the Innisfil Garden Club, and I attended her visitation as well. So we will miss those important Innisfil people, and we'll see everybody back here at Council Chambers for our next meeting on September the 10th. Thank you. And now we'll go to confirmatory bylaw and adjournment at 9:33 p.m. Moved by Councillor Drodge and seconded by Councillor Richardson. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, staff, for all your hard work.